Okay. And I guess, look, one of probably the biggest question that everyone is going to ask is, how much is an alarm system going to cost me? Because I'm aware that you can go out at your local dodgy corner shop and you can buy a dirt cheap, run-of-the-mill alarm system. And I know in our previous discussions you really warned me against that because of the quality issues and stuff. So maybe you can address the issue of what's the difference between a good quality alarm system and the cheap and nasties, what you're going to miss out on, and then talk about the price and what's the investment to protect the home or the business.
Okay, so with alarm systems, there are basically, they all basically work the same. The problem is the quality of the detectors and some of the programming features within the alarm system. So first of all, you've got to have good quality detectors, otherwise nothing's going to work. And if you buy cheaper detectors, they're normally not heat compensated. So that means if you get a house that warms up, then the detectors will false alarm,
right,
even with a slight draft going through a house. So you've got to design a system to suit the environment. So for instance, if you've got a garage with a detector in it, you'd use a detector that was either a motion sensing or a dual tech detector that will allow for the heat coming over the top of the door and not false alarm, because false alarms eventually get ignored, and then if it's a genuine alarm, that don't work. So yeah, you've got to have good quality detectors. You've got to have detectors positioned in the right place. So generally detectors, a lot of people believe that the detector should be facing the windows, where in actual fact it's quite the opposite. You normally have a detector facing the inside of the house, not the outside of the house, where it's a stable environment.
Right. What is that? Is that because of the temperature issue?
That's right, because you get white light changes, you get curtains moving, you get light, so you tend to get more false alarms if you face the window. So we position our detectors facing towards the centre of the house. It stabilises the environment and they work better. So by using a good quality detector,
right,
using an alarm that allows us to program the tolerance of that detector. So with the better alarms, you can actually change how many times that alarm talks to how many times that detector talks to the alarm panel before it goes into alarm. So it could be double pulse, or you can change it to so many pulses per second.
So trying to pick up a dirt cheap alarm off eBay or something, it really is false economy, right? I'll be in a situation with constant false alarms and it may not work at all.
It would probably work, but it would false alarm a lot, yes.
Right.
And a wireless alarm, you have this similar sort of problem.
Actually, you just mentioned wireless and is there a difference between wired and wireless? What is that?
Okay, wireless alarms, well, look, we use them occasionally, but as a last resort. And we normally use them in a two-storey house or a unit complex that we can't get wiring from upstairs to downstairs. With wireless detectors, there are ongoing costs. There are issues with communication between the detectors and the panel. And with the cheaper wireless systems, we do have some better quality, which are very reliable. But with the cheaper ones, they switch off every 4 minutes. So that means if you walk past it, switch it off, and it'll switch off to save power, and you leave the house, that means there's 4 minutes that your house is not protected until the detector wakes up again. There are smart detectors now which are wireless, which have two-way communication. So most detectors only send messages to the alarm. With the newer version, they look for the detector and the detector says, I'm here, so there's two-way communication, which allows them to work more reliably and also saving power.
All right, so I know I've got to get a decent quality one. So back to the big question I know is on everyone's mind.
Yes.
How much does it cost?
Okay, so you can be looking at about $1,000 for under $1,000 for a small apartment. That would probably give you 2 detectors and a very basic alarm system.
Right.
With a larger house, you might get up to $1,500 to $2,500. It depends how many detectors, how many keypads, what type of siren. So it's like a car. What features how much does a car cost?
Absolutely.
It just depends. How what quality and how many devices you actually need through the house, because you may have pets in the house, you may have a larger house, you may have a split level house. So I mean, some alarms I have done have been as low as $900, and some have been, dare I say it, $9,000.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think that's a pretty good investment, considering you're protecting your family home, and it gives you that assurance that no one's going to come in and do you harm. And I would expect that people would spend more on coffee nowadays, given the price of coffee, than putting into an alarm system. So $1,000 for a decent alarm system sounds pretty good to me.